All right, next question comes from Dylan Manziel.
All right.
Which kick pedal tension is optimal for your playing?
So for me, I always like to think when a kick pedal shows up in the mail, or you bought it at a store, wherever you're getting your kick pedals, it's going to be like a pretty medium tension, pretty balanced and down the middle. For me, I like just a hair tighter than that, so just a little bit above medium. But I also think that it's dependent on the pedal itself, because some pedals have different feels to them. So like DW9000 is a good example of like, that's a heavy ass pedal. Like it feels really, really heavy. It's also like buttery smooth, but it's got a natural weight to it. And so in that scenario, you might want a little bit tighter of a spring setting just to compensate for the heaviness of it. There's also beaters that have like different weights to them. Some beaters, the Mapex Falcon, which I played for years, it had interchangeable weights in the beater, like it had a 10 gram and then a 20 gram, or I don't know if those increments are correct, but changing the weight of the beater would certainly change how you wanted the spring to feel. So there's a number of variables. It's not just spring tension. I think one of the realities is, though, there's always a danger of going too low in your spring tension before there's a danger of going too high. If you go too high, I don't really know what the con would be of going too high, other than the feel is very unnatural, right? And I think as you get into more speedy playing, speed metal or genres where speed is like very required, I think you might need to go with a tighter tension just so that spring can keep up with the mechanics of your actual foot or the physics of your foot. But I think the danger would be if you go far too low, that the pedal the spring can no longer keep up with what your foot is doing. So I would say start in that medium range. I wouldn't really explore going that much lower. And one question is, why would you go with a very low spring tension? Like, what happens when, like,
maybe like older jazz or like cajon playing comes to mind, but
maybe anything delicate, like if you're feathering with jazz with like a heel down sort of technique, maybe. I probably shouldn't speak too much on that. It's not my wheelhouse. Maybe there would be some advantage to that if there was a certain feel that it had that you enjoyed. But for the most part, I would say, it's a lot like throne height, where whatever you're used to, you're only used to it because it's been that way for so long. If you make a slight adjustment and you get used to that new adjustment, even if it's uncomfortable for a week or two, you might find a benefit in changing that setting. So if you've been playing the same spring tension on your kick drum for like a year or more, try tightening it a little bit or loosening it a little bit and experiment with that new setting and just sort of see how it feels on you. I think it's trial and error. It's worth adjusting a bit. But for me, medium, how it comes out of the box, a slight tune-up from there or tension from there. That seems to be the sweet spot for me, but probably genre-dependent and mechanics-dependent. How long are your legs? What genres are you playing? There's a lot of variables to keep in mind.
All right, that'll do it for the Q&A segment of the podcast.
All right.
Just as a reminder, you can send these questions via Instagram, comment down below on YouTube. You can go to the members area of OrlandoDrummer.com, or you can send me an email at chris@orlandodrummer.com.